Good morning and welcome to Making Peace with Money with your host, Lori Lomantia, Professor, CPO, and Prosperity Coach. Get ready to master your life and your money, not the other way around. Now, here is your host, Lori Lomantia.
Good morning, and welcome to our show today, where we're talking with two Chief Prosperity Officers. That's what I've been calling them. And as part of a series of Chief Prosperity Officer interviews that I'd like to do and bring to you about business owners holding a prosperity consciousness at their work. And I've asked Dr. Sue Brown and D.A. Wills, who are owners of the Essence Quality of Life Center in Carroll Stream, Illinois, to be with us and tell us and share with us some of their philosophy and their approach to doing business in a holistic and prosperous way. And one of the reasons why I asked both Dr. Sue and D.A. to join us is I met them in the middle of a workshop on abundance and prosperity, and I found their essence to be so aligned with what I was thinking and feeling a high prosperity, high quality business would operate as. And many of my friends who go and visit their center also feel that way. And so they've generously agreed to come and share their wisdom as a part of helping us understand how do we go about working and constructing and creating a prosperous business. And so I'd like to welcome both Dr. Sue Brown and D.A. Wills to our show today. So thank you both for being here.
Thank you for having us.
Oh, excellent. Now, I actually didn't give your backgrounds because I thought you could do that as a part of sharing how you came to your prosperity philosophies. So I'll start with you, D.A. D.A., why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you have come and how you operate with respect to your prosperity philosophy?
Well, I guess to start with, I believe that the prosperity philosophy I've had for many, many years, in that I'd never considered it prosperity consciousness. I considered it literally putting one foot in front of the other towards something I either intuitively or intellectually chose to do. So I think that prosperity consciousness stems from a little bit from free will and choice, and having that discerning consciousness of choosing putting one foot in front of the other and taking the action. Because I think that's the missing step, is not just the affirmations, but taking the action. So I think my prosperity alignment came many years ago accidentally because I put one foot in front of the other and ended up someplace really wonderful. And then backtracked and said, how did I do that? Oh, I must have been following something good. And I think that's what my prosperity consciousness really is following your own intuition, doing some alchemy and archaeology to remove things that are in the way that don't belong, and then some alchemy to transform things that you have into something greater. And so I think it started a long time ago, but I think I have to admit a little accidentally, and then developed or blossomed into something that I acknowledged as something that was happening that I was actually participating in.
Oh, that's really a cool way to feel into it. And I'm hoping that our listeners will appreciate the opportunity here that you don't necessarily have to dive in with 100% of an intention. D.A., I really appreciate what you're saying about walking one foot in front of the other, trusting that intuitive guidance and being amazed at what cool places it brings you.
Exactly.
And Dr. Sue, how about you? How did you come to your prosperity consciousness or philosophy?
I would have to say it was rather accidentally also. I grew up in a farming community and was always brought up to think, if you work hard, you can always achieve anything, get whatever you want. And also with a great respect, I think, just for life in general, because we had animals. And so for me, I think the realization of it came when I went to chiropractic school, because contrary to maybe the popularized opinion of chiropractic that it's about back pain, headache, it's really not. The original intention of chiropractic recognizes that there's an infinite potential within us. And to me, with prosperity, whether it's a financial prosperity, whether it's a prosperity in that there's an abundance of life in our physiology to heal, or a spiritual, emotional prosperity, it all is in alignment with that thought and that respect that life is infinite and life is abundant, and that truly, however you define the powers that be, our life wants us to express our full potential, and financial prosperity is just a part of that. I guess splitting it up and really thinking about it in terms of a financial thing came much later in life, when you start to delineate and say, okay, how is this philosophy that I have in general going to express in my life, and how can I be more conscious about maybe creating it in some places where it's not quite as fully expressing, whereas in other places in my life it seems like there's no hesitation with the prosperity that expresses.
Do you mind me asking, because I've been noticing that I've been delineating a little bit between my personal life and my business life, kind of assuming you have to really work hard in your business life because of all those old records and paradigms. And in my personal life, I feel like it's just a dance of magic. I'm kind of curious, where were you delineating, and were you delineating with respect to business?
For me, yes, I was. And I think it was because of that work ethic that I was brought up with. Yes, you can always have whatever it is that you desire. However, you got to work hard for it. And I would say that the first several years of my business life, I worked incredibly hard. And then it just came to the point where it wasn't bringing me joy anymore. I work so hard, and I love what I do, but because I was making it hard, I wasn't loving it anymore. And really through my close friendship with DA, and her just reminding me, and I think that's one of the things that's so powerful, is to have a sounding board that you trust, and having somebody say to me, you know what, you don't have to work so hard, and remember you love what you do, so cut it out. And just bringing that sense of play constantly into my work life, then it doesn't seem like it's working hard, because it is play. And it is all that state of mind that seems to delineate, oh, here's my personal and here's my professional. No, it's do what you love, and in every moment of every day, and it's always going to come.
So that was going to be one of the questions, or the thing that I was curious about is, as a partnership, is that one of the ways that you support each other as kind of like the wake-up call and the sounding board?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's like having a living mirror. That mirror on the wall, who's the fairest of them all? And the mirror answers back. Well, that's what a partnership does. It has a living, breathing, talking mirror that says, you think? Is that really a good aspect of yourself you want to express, or is the real aspect of yourself hidden beneath all that quote-unquote other stuff? There's a lovely philosophy in Eastern Indian literature, and it says, do less and accomplish more. And when we do, we do accomplish less, because we're not necessarily accomplishing what we want to, because we get overrun and everything. And when you have someone else to bounce things off of, they're able to say, you really don't need to do that till next week, or if you change your attitude about that, you'll really enjoy that, because you have to do it. You have to drive the child to school, or you have to go to work, you have to balance the checkbook. Why not do it with joy? Oh, I guess so, because it's those little teeny things that we forget in our daily life. We start cooking, and then we think, oh, I'll throw a little laundry in, and you realize you're cooking with a lot of anxiety. And it's nice to have that partnership with someone, even in that simple way, let alone big ways in business. In the business aspect, but it's nice to have that sounding board who can, with great love and respect, be that mirror.
Well, and somebody who allows you to be conscious when you've gotten so wrapped up into things that you're being very unconscious about what you're doing and why. There's that person that says, okay, now remember. It's like, oh yeah, I had completely gotten off on this track, and I'm going to live a conscious life. And sometimes you're so deeply in it, you lose perspective. And I think that's what a partnership does, is that it brings that perspective, that little bit of distance that somebody observing you can go, now, remember, this isn't really you. And you're like, oh, yeah.
My cousin is a pilot, and he says, we don't fly in a straight line. We fly from left to right. We head out with a certain, direction, and then 20 minutes later we're a little off to the west, so then we align it back to the game plan. And then, 20 minutes later we're off to the right, and it's back and forth because the Earth moves, gravity moves, the atmosphere moves, everything's moving, so it's not like driving on the road where you stay within the lines. The sky isn't like that, and he said that life is a lot like that. You're on track, you go, okay, I'm heading from Chicago to L.A., and then half an hour later, heading towards Mexico, and someone says, do you really want to go to Mexico? I thought you were going to L.A. Oh, yeah. And you get back on track. And that's that partnership of someone who helps to be that guidance system that says, you were heading here. And it doesn't look like you're either enjoying going there or you're not really heading there. Do you want to maybe take a second look at that?
And that actually is a wonderful way to look at how business really operates on a day-to-day basis and a year-to-year basis. We used to always talk about, when I was in corporate, you have to have a 5-year plan. And I remember, and I still think, how crazy. How could you, we can't predict 5 years out. I can barely predict a week out. But I understand having that North Star. I'm headed to, like you said, San Diego, or I'm headed somewhere, and I'm in the middle of all these course corrections, and that's okay. Just because you're not always on plan, just kind of gently nudge yourself back to plan.
And if you can accept that some of those off things are going to be great side trips. You only meet
right, they probably
people.
Exactly need to happen.
Yeah, and some of them aren't going to be so great. But that's the thing is that, Buddha said, there's no one who goes through life without some kind of suffering. And I don't mean that we should look, forward to that or look for that. But our track, we're going to get off track. That's just the nature of the beast we are, and that's all right that we get off track. And again, it's very lovely if you have some kind of partnership that can get you back on track, even if it's just your own high self.
Yes, absolutely. Well, we're coming into a break, and one of the things I do want to talk about after the break is, because I'm not hearing that prosperity is necessarily articulated it's not like you talk about prosperity all the time. I'm getting the sense you talk about all kinds of things to support a prosperity experience. And I'm kind of curious how you do that for your business environment and for your customers. So when we get back from break, I'd like to hear how you actually foster prosperity in the environment without necessarily talking about it.
Okay.
So stay tuned, everybody. Hi, and welcome back. And we're speaking with Dr. Sue Brown and D.A. Wills of the Essence Quality of Life Center in Carroll Stream, Illinois. And if you'd like to get in touch with them, their phone number is 630-690-6080. And when you go on their website, they have this beautiful quote about that the Life Center exists to provide a new paradigm in living, happiness, health, and peace. And these are all things that cannot be added to your life. They must be inspired from within. And I thought that was such a beautiful philosophy that it's already there. It just has to be awoken. And before the break, we were talking about developing prosperity consciousness, but I wasn't hearing you use that word specifically, although I feel you have amazing prosperity consciousness. So, Sue, could you talk a little bit more about how you foster prosperity, even though you don't necessarily use the word or the concept?
I think, quite frankly, the biggest part of it is in our state of being. When you resonate a particular way, because all of life is vibration and tone, not only do you draw that to yourself, but it also awakens in other people. And so everything about our center is very, it's open, it's accepting, it's about self-responsibility, and it's about choosing life on all levels and realizing that, there is an incredible potential within each being, and there is a quality of life that you can choose for yourself. And it's about making those choices to do things that foster life quality, not just about getting more, but truly about savoring each moment and bringing vitality to it. And when you resonate and awaken those things within you, all good things come. All good things come. And sometimes it comes in terms of money. Sometimes it comes in terms of your health, in the quality of the people that surround you. It can come in so many different ways. And for some people, prosperity for them is waking up in the morning and feeling good after so many years of having lots of money, but never truly having that sense of ease. For other people, they've felt great all their life, and they do want to awaken to a different possibility, as far as their financial security. And really, you can think about, wanting this or that all you want, but until you awaken that knowingness within you that you are worthy and deserving, until you awaken that vitality to actually seek out those things that you were meant to do or meant to be, it's going to be a struggle. And so with EQLC, Essence Quality of Life Center, it's about awakening that possibility within you and taking that responsibility. And I think that's the way we really that's the way we foster prosperity on all levels.
And I really like, the one thing that I'm always fascinated by as I bring different guests on the show is we all have different, words for prosperity, and they all lead you to that same feeling. Not same, but this wide open heart experience where, like you're saying, it's so multidimensional how prosperity ends up actually feeling in your body. And when you limit it to a handful of words like more money or bigger business, you're really putting a damper on this giant experience that you could call prosperity, but it's so huge.
Exactly. And I think, too, it is truly a feeling. The times when I was busy in my office, and I wasn't having fun because I didn't have any time really to interact with people. And so we made a conscious choice several years ago to cut back on my practice. And what's really fascinating is that I'm having more fun because I have time to visit with people and be really in community with them, which is what I love. And it doesn't seem like I'm making any less money. I think I'm making the same amount of money, but I'm having so much more fun. And I think that when we center on truly expressing our joy and expressing our life in a way that is us and not what we think we should be, all that other stuff falls into line.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Beautifully said. I can feel that. I can feel that from you both, actually. What I'm really feeling is a wonderful clarity around fostering life. And when you do that in this present moment, all good things come in, and call it prosperity, call it love, call it beauty. It can't not come when you're enjoying the moment.
The collective consciousness idea of prosperity, that dogma that a lot of people tap into, really has to be redefined, and many of us are. And an example I use is my brother-in-law, who's an actor, and he was acting in some play in Florida. And I said, let's put some attention. We really want to get you to be like, Brad Pitt, famous and rich. And he said, yeah, that would be great. He said, I love acting. If I'm acting in a small theater in Florida, great. If I'm on the big screen, great. But I love acting. And in that moment, something in my head shifted. I'm like, oh, he's prosperous because he's doing what he loves. And that brings joy to the world. And as Sue was talking before about everything being resonance and tone, if everyone brought that joy and that resonance and tone, what a different world it would be.
Absolutely. So I'm almost feeling, no, you don't, do you actually have a financial plan at your work? I'm kind of curious.
I plan to spend all the money that I make by the time I'm done.
We try to be good stewards of the money that we are graced with by the services that by being of service in our community and ourselves, with our families, with our friends, with the people that come into the practice. We definitely try to be a good steward of that money. Having some long-range plan, again, we have to laugh just a little bit. We have definitely ideas that what we would do if and when, let's say when, nature advances us more money for our service and to life, but not particularly what a banker would be proud of.
Mm-hmm. But when you look at your bottom line, how do you feel?
when I look at my bottom line, you know what? I think it's just like with anybody else. It ebbs and flows. I've always had whatever I've needed and a little more. And there have been times where there's been significantly more, and I always find things to do with it. And so I'm somebody who, there's part of me that's like, wow, it would be great to have millions of dollars. But then that other part of me that says, you know what, there's so much to do with that, and there's such an incredible flow of abundance in the world. Why not have it continue to flow? And so, yes, there's some retirement funds and all that kind of stuff, but do I focus on that? No, I focus on really living my life and being the best that I can be at what I do. There's the chiropractic practice, and then there's the seminars that I teach. And for me, it's never been about having tons and tons of money in the bank. It's about how much good can we do in the world, and the money's going to come. How much can we really affect a positive change and be a force for humanity to be everything that it was meant to be, and express more of the beautiful qualities of humanity as opposed to some of the other stuff that's going on. And I've waxed and waned as far as my trust in the abundance in the universe. But more and more over the years, the biggest shift for me prosperity-wise is in knowing that it's always going to be there, and that I'll always have everything that I need. And that's what's been true. And the thing is that it's always been true. I just never trusted it before. And now I think the huge things that's happened when we've done the John Randolph Price is there's been some increased income from that. The bigger thing for me, and I think the thing that brings me more peace, is that I don't worry about it anymore, because I trust that that's going to be there, just as I trust that the next breath that I take is going to be there. Because that's how life is. It needs and wants to express itself.
How important do you think that is for business owners if they truly want to be prosperity mavens, so to speak, for their company?
I think that a lot of that depends on your belief system. I think that if in your belief system you need this and this plan and this as far as retirement to feel safe and this, then that's exactly what's going to play out for you. You're going to need that in order to function and in order to be prosperous. I think also, though, that the same rules aren't true for everybody. I think that if in the core of your being, you know that there is an incredible flow of abundance that's always going to be there for you, then if you are in alignment with that, with the procedures that you create and the policies that you create, then the universe is going to support that. I think it's when there's a difference between what we do and what we truly believe that there's a disconnect in that flow and in that prosperity in one's life.
What about for you?
I think in a big scope of things, I think the world is like an orchestra. And right now it's tuning up. And if you've ever heard that, it sounds kind of gnarly. You go to the concert and you sit down, you're in your pretty gown, and you know it's going to be this beautiful concert. But right now they're just going ee because they're tuning up. And I feel like the universe is tuning up. People are just starting to get the hang of it. And when everyone plays their instrument or they sings their song that is their instrument, that is their song, the world is going to make a beautiful sound. And I think Sue touched on a really good thing, is that it has to be fluid. There has to be an okayness. I did another workshop once about, it was called Willing to Lose. And you have to be willing to lose. You have to be willing to, and I didn't mean it in the sense that you're going to lose everything you own or lose the love of your life. It just meant that every day, that each day, wherever you were, has to be okay. So today I have a little less money. That's ouch. But I'm going to eat, peanut butter and jelly today. And then tomorrow I have more money, so I'm going to enjoy that. And the next day I have even more money, I'll enjoy that. And then the next day I have a little bit less. There's always a waning, a coming and going of everything. And to hang on to any one particular thing is not going to make it so. To hang on to one ideal of something or anything of anything, to hang on is only tightening the grip around it and suffocating it. And to be fluid with it and say, well, I'm in this space now. No publisher has jumped on my book yet, but that's just today. Tomorrow I may self-publish. So it's those kinds of things. You've got to be willing to lose. You have to be willing to stand in that moment and accept that moment. And that doesn't mean resignation. That's a whole different thing. Acceptance and resignation are two different things. I accept where I am at this moment, and I'm going to enjoy it. I'm going to choose to enjoy. I'm not resigning myself to, this is my lot in life. So I believe that we're just all tuning up. And we're getting the hang of how to play that instrument we've been given. So for one person, it's going to be, they're a good gardener, and they want to bring organic food back. And the farm is small, and it's probably not doing that well because the big farmers with chemicals are taking over the world right now. But it's getting there, and it's getting there. We're all tuning up. And so I think it's just a matter of waiting for that, of focusing on your own instrument and your own song. And when that becomes your beauty and you accept wherever you are with that song, I sang off key today. Well, tomorrow's another day.
And that's what I want to talk about after the break, because we're going to take a break right now. I'm kind of curious, how do you tune your corporate environment and the people who walk in for your company, for the employees, for the customers? I'm curious how you tune your environment to be resonant. So when we get back from the break, I'd like to talk about that a little bit more. Welcome back, and we're talking with D.A. Wills and Dr. Sue Brown of the Essence Quality of Life Center, which is actually a holistic chiropractic center in Carroll Stream, Illinois, and their number is 630-690-6080. And one of the things we were talking about before the break, and I would like to ask both you, Dr. Sue and D.A., how do you go about sending the message? What symbols do you use in your day-to-day business? What do you do on a day-to-day basis that lets people know of this philosophy that feels like prosperity to me, but that's about loving life and being as healthy as possible? How do you show that on a day-to-day basis to your customers and to your employee, or the people that work with you?
Using two very old adages, walk your talk, and live by example. Mm-hmm. I think those are two of the easiest ways when people come into the practice. They're looking for something. They're lost. And they want healing. What's interesting is many people come because they also want community. They want to find like-minded people who have the same philosophies and who have the same outlook on life. And so it's living by example and walking the talk. When we say, you have to exercise, you need to move every day, even if you take a walk around the block, we need to show them we're doing that as well. And we don't necessarily do it because we want to show them. We do it because we want to do it for us, and they see us and they go, you're feeling great and you're accomplishing this, and I want what you have. And so it's living by example and walking the talk. I think that's the two simplest ways to explain.
And I did feel when I came to the center, you were embodying it. You were an inspiration individually and together. You could feel it, even though I don't know that I could have articulated it before I talked with you. I could feel it.
Yes, and I'm just a research nut, and so from the time I could actually go to a library, I've been looking, and so what's interesting is that then whenever I find something, I have to share it. It's just like finding a great restaurant, and you want to tell your best friend, you have to go there, it's so delicious. It's the same thing. I find something, and I go, when I found John Randolph Price's book, I thought, this is fabulous. It's simple, it's easy, it's right on track, it's something people can add into their daily life. That KISS, keep it simple, silly, that's exactly, people want it simple. People are raising 3 kids, have 2 jobs, 2 dogs, and they're, one family incomes, whatever their situation is. People are really running tight, a little tightly wound these days, and so if we can make it easy for them to access higher states of consciousness, whether especially concerning prosperity these days, that's what our thing is to do the research. We find these wonderful tools and allow them to access those tools, whether it's an affirmation or actually a symbol. Just draw this symbol, draw a dollar sign, draw a yin-yang, draw a pyramid, whatever brings you some kind of, you look at that symbol when you open your wallet and you go, it brings you some relief.
Well, one of the things I talk about when I talk about to foster prosperity as a chief prosperity officer is to find ways to let people know without letting them, telling them that prosperity is valued and prosperity thinking is valued. And one of the things Dr. Sue, you had mentioned that you were inclusive, that as soon as you guys found a tool, you actually shared it and said, well, let's share it. And that seems to me one of the ways that you symbolically send the message of abundance.
Oh, absolutely. And, it's interesting because many people who come into our office go, I just love being here because it doesn't feel like a doctor's office. And I think the reason that it doesn't is because, we are very real with people, and they know that we're all in this together. Donna reads an incredible amount of material each year. It amazes me. And she shares that information. And for me, I love that feeling of community. It's about really opening your life and welcoming people into it and not keeping yourself distant from it. There's so many people, we need to keep professional boundaries. Well, I can be incredibly professional and keep those boundaries intact and still hold people very close to my heart and want everybody to express their fullness. And that's why, when we do a 40-day prosperity thing for Donna and I would choose to do one, we simply open it up to the practice, and people choose to do it or not. When we do things for our health, for our spirituality, to strengthen just the foundation of what we want, the intention we want to set for the year. Donna and I for years have made vision boards. Well, we've opened all of those things up to the practice and say, what? Anybody who wants to play and come do this in community, come on along. And I think that when you do those little things all the time, coupled with that feeling that people truly know we care about their success in life on all different ways, it awakens those things in people that they've always known. And one of the things I love is they say you can't teach anybody anything new. All you can do is awaken a knowledge that's deep within them. And I think that when you embody those things, as Donna said, walking your talk, when you include them and do things that awaken that deep knowledge within people, they simply start expressing them in their lives and then find their own avenues that are going to empower them to keep moving further with the little seed that we gave them.
Yeah, that feels so. It just feels like you are embodying the philosophy. How much time do you actually spend? I'll call it worrying about the business.
I don't know that I worry about the business. If you'd asked me that question a few years ago, my answer would have been different. Because I worried about a lot of stuff. Mm-hmm. But now I think just that consistent using the tools that we've opened up to the practice, there was a shift that happened a little while back where all of a sudden I just trusted. Just to give you an example, over the holidays, our life was chaos. At one point, for 2-3 days, we had 6 dogs and 12 people in the house. And everything was just crazy, and stressing out all over the place everybody was. And there was just a sense that, no matter what it is, whether it's family stress or financial stress or whatever, it's all going to be okay. Mm-hmm. And I couldn't even tell you the moment that it happened. I'm thankful that it did. And so what I can tell people is if they're concerned, if they find themselves stewing and worrying about this, the worry never really prepared you for anything. But if you're feeling that, then make some changes. Do these programs that are out there, and little bit by little bit by little bit, if you stay consistent with it, it's going to shift for you, no matter what it is that you're worrying about.
DA, do you worry about the business?
No, never. I don't know, from a small age, I can remember being 6, 7. I always knew whatever would be there would be there. And it wasn't like I assumed I'd have millions of dollars, again, going back to the prosperity. I just assumed whatever it was would be there. again, going back to what I was talking about before, if I had just tuna fish today and crackers, that I was okay with that. So for me, when you have that kind of concept, when you're accepting of your wherever you are, that doesn't mean you can't have goals or aim for something higher or greater or more prosperous. But if you just accept, okay, today I have tuna fish, and you really love that tuna fish and put a little, pickle in it, whatever, I just have never worried about it, much to the dismay of many of my families and family and friends. I really don't worry about money, because whether I have $2 or $2 million, I am okay.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was sitting here thinking, I teach at DePaul, I teach business, and I'm kind of wondering if I'm my own worst enemy, calling it a business. Maybe I should just call it a play zone, or, to break out of the mental model of kind of all that traditional business thinking. What if you didn't call it business?
I think that'd be a great idea, because remember, we're all tuning up. I think there's a whole new paradigm starting to be birthed, starting to develop, starting to blossom and bloom, and that would be a great way to aim, since you're teaching business, to aim at that community and their dogmatic views and the way their minds revolve around money and finance. It would be awesome for you to bring that in, that new philosophy, that new way of looking at things, that it isn't, again, resignation to a horrible situation. It's acceptance of this moment is this way, but next moment might be different. And I'm going to, again, take steps, put one foot in front of the other towards something greater, but I'm also going to love right the heck where I am.
Well, and the thing is that we live in a quantum world. And one of the big things for me, they say you teach what you need to learn the most. And when I teach my seminars, we look at the quantum view of things and talk about how consciousness, thought, intention is so incredibly important. And so, one time several months ago, I'm on my plane ride home after teaching this seminar, and, just kind of thinking about this and that and what I was going to do with this, and I was getting a little stressed over it and started playing in my mind all these terrible scenarios. And I'm like, wait, it's like something just whacked me in the head and said, wait, you either believe in this quantum view of the world or not. You either believe that thoughts have power or not. And if you truly believe this, you need to check in and start being much more conscious. And for me, anytime I even start a little bit of a worry about something, as soon as I catch myself, it's done. And I'm like, you know what? I want to put out into the world what I want, not what I don't want. And my office is my sandbox. That's where I want to play, because if I'm going to spend a ton of time doing this, I better be having fun doing it. And if I'm going to be putting thoughts out into the world, it's going to be more productive to put the thoughts out into the world and into that field of consciousness of things that I want rather than the things that I don't. And I think too many people spend too much of their time worrying about what they don't have, thinking about what they don't want, and it's not doing them any good at all. And it truly, because I think we do live in a quantum world, is bringing all of those things right to them.
There's a great Indian saint, his name is Sri Shiva, and his philosophy about thoughts is they're like sparks from, you're sitting around a fire in the park, and when a spark comes onto your pant leg, if you brush it off immediately, it will not hurt your pant, it will make no hole, no burn, and it won't burn your skin. But if you leave it sit there, it will hurt you. And he believes that's how thoughts are. If you brush away those negative ones, just brush them off and say, oh, that's a negative thought, and brush it off before it has a chance to hurt you, and change it to something wonderful. So I love that idea, and Sue did a workshop in southern part of the States, and one of the things we did was we taught them that technique of, and you saw people walking towards you, brushing on their arm, brushing it off. You knew they were taking that very literally of, oh, I had a negative thought, and they would brush their arm with their hand, brushing that negative thought off. And I think that's a beautiful philosophy. I hope a lot of people take that on and think about it. When you ruminate over that thought, it just burns a deeper and more destructive hole in you. But if you take that thought and go, ooh, I'm brushing that one off, it serves you much better. Then you can replace it. Nature hits a void and then immediately replace it with something else. You're halfway there.
This is wonderful. We're headed into a break, and after the break, I want you to give me some advice for my business, because we don't help people get well. We're a straight sales company, so I'm looking for your wisdom in how you would help me with my business. So after the break, I look forward to asking you a very deep question.
Okay.
Hi, and welcome back. And we're talking to what I consider two chief prosperity officers, D.A. Wills and Dr. Sue Brown, and they own a chiropractic holistic health center in Illinois. And as I was listening to you both talk over the course of this hour, I was thinking, wow, you know, you guys do such meaningful work helping people get well and readjust. I mean, I can feel the meaning. And you have wonderful philosophies about sharing that your approach with your clientele. I wanted you to give me your advice about how to put your philosophies into play in my business, which we sell an industrial chemical. We sell chemicals to big companies, and I'd like to live in and integrate more of these prosperity concepts from your perspective in. So I'm wishing for you to give me some advice on how to do that.
I think that no matter what one does, if you choose something as your profession, I encourage people to choose ones that they can find some meaning in and some joy. You know, for me, I don't know, if I was... I could have a karaoke palace and bring this same philosophy to it because I love to sing. Mm-hmm. You know, I could, I don't know, be working on a horse farm and have the same thing. I don't think it's really about what you do. It's about, can you find joy and meaning in whatever it is that you're doing as a job? And if you can find that, then life is automatically going to be expressing more fully in you, and you're going to be attracting to you, people, yes, of like mind, but, people I think out there are seeking life. They're seeking community. They want to be around certain people because those people are resonating with that joy in life. And so when you find that in you, automatically people are going to be attracted to your service. They're going to, come to you because of your customer service, and yes, the quality of your product, but because they feel good about doing business with you, and that little, spark of interacting with somebody that I feel better about myself when I interact with this person is going to cause them to choose that business.
So you're saying part of my strategy, for lack of a better word, is when I hold space and I'm living in that place of doing business in a way that is loving, respectful, and something that I find meaningful in whatever way, that will become attractive, and it will have a prosperity effect beyond maybe what I could have ever predicted.
Yes, and I think it also becomes evolutionary. If you do that, you may come across someone who said, you know what, hey, I have something I'm getting a patent for on a different kind of chemical, and it's really green. Would your company be interested in producing that? And all of a sudden you're evolving to something greater, more green, more compassionate, more loving, more prosperous as you go along, because things will evolve, because you'll attract greater and greater things to you. There are people who they're all of a sudden they wake up out of their life dream, and all of a sudden they're doing a job they don't really think, what am I doing here? But they do that job because they're there now, and they need that to make money, and yet they start writing in their spare time or taking classes in their spare time, and eventually they evolve where they're making that same income somewhere else and they can leave where they were. But I think it's evolutionary. I think that everything Sue just talked about, that attitude that you have and the resonance and the joy you bring of being alive and say, wow, every morning I'm really happy I wake up. Because there's a chance you won't. I just love the fact that I wake up in the morning. I'm like, wow, cool, another day. I get to do a whole bunch of stuff here on this planet. It's great. But if you resonate that way, whatever you're doing is going to evolve and possibly evolve into something greater. That's what happens to a lot of people. They say, I just went to this meeting, and then this person told this person, and all of a sudden I have this great job. And I think it'll evolve. I think that's true for every business.
Yeah, it does feel like, and that's what I've noticed too, it feels like a blossoming, that you lay the groundwork of this joy experience or this love experience or however you want to put it. And, a lot of times you don't see the roots going into the ground and getting thicker and more nourished. And then 3 or 4 years later, you get this beautiful flower, but you couldn't have seen it if you dug the plant out and pulled the roots out.
Exactly.
And so I'm kind of wondering if as some last points for business listeners out there, what would you tell them to do to foster more of a prosperity consciousness in their business?
I think keep moving. I think keep moving. That never. Okay, I'm doing this business, and then you just go. I get up, I brush my teeth, I call so-and-so, I send this check, I go home. I get up, I brush my teeth, I call so-and-so, I send this check. That's not keeping moving. It's taking classes, it's going to meetings, it's reading papers, it's keeping moving with their business, whatever it is. No business is limited. You can't say, well, I'm just an accountant and all I can do is add numbers. No, but you can be an accountant for a florist, and you love flowers, and then you get into the flower business because you keep moving. It's I just gave my daughter that advice, who's now graduating from college. I said, don't stop. Just keep moving. Dead things stop. Live things move. And I think that's the best advice, I think, is keep moving. Always be open to reading a different book or meeting a new person or going to a different seminar and, open to, like with Sue, meeting other chiropractors and going to chiropractic institutions and finding out what's going on there and contributing her work, as well as open to listening to others. It's the same with any business. I think keep moving.
Excellent. How about you, Sue?
That and do what you love. Create an environment. If you've got the flexibility to create your own environment, then set it up so that you love being there. Because if you love being there, then other people will love being there too. And so often we get into the whatever the routine, the doldrums of business, gotta get this done, gotta, that we forget that, you know what, if I'm not having fun, why bother? And if I'm not having fun, nobody else is going to want to come into that office either. And so, we all know that yes, we need to have the foundation of whatever skills to run our business, or to, I have to have certain skills to be good at what I do. But bigger than that, what attracts people in is not about really what you do, because quite frankly, I know some people who no disrespect intended, people who I wouldn't choose to be adjusted by who are in my profession. But they have huge businesses. And it's because they believe in what they do, they've set up a practice that 100% down the line, every policy, every procedure is congruent with what they believe to be true. And if you can tap into, figuring out who you are and make your business a perfect expression and 100% congruent with who you are and what you believe in and what your thoughts are, then I think it automatically is going to work.
What a wonderful way to wrap this up. So thank you both so much for being here. And I really, I learned a lot from our time together, which I always know is good because I feel like I've moved by being here with you. So thank you both for sharing your wisdom and giving us insight into your business and how you operate, because it's a very generous thing to do. So I thank you both for your time and giving us some new ideas to live with.
And thank you. It was an honor for us to be asked to be on your show. Thank you so much, Laurie.
Thank you. Well, keep moving, you.
Yeah, that's right. And brush it off. Remember, brush
that's right.
Don't
forget to brush off those crazy little sparks. Thanks so much again. Have a great week.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.